You're set.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome February 12th, 2025. I see on the agenda it says 28, but it is 2025 for the record. So this is the Interstate Commission for EMS Personnel Practice. This is the Executive Committee monthly scheduled meeting. I am the chairperson, Commissioner Craig Kinney from Indiana. And we will go ahead and do roll call. And I don't see our secretary on, so I believe I can do that for the executive committee. I am seeing myself present. Commissioner Wayne Denny, you are present as well. And Commissioner Joe House is not on yet. Commissioner Vandeloon, I see, is present as well. And Commissioner Kaler, member at large, is present. Thank you. And then Commissioner Joe Schmieder, immediate past chair, is present as well. First thing we have is the agenda has been posted on the website, was shared with the executive committee and actually all of the commission. Does anyone have any matters that they would like to address not on the agenda, public comment? If you do so, would request use the raise hand feature, which is at the top bar of our Microsoft Teams, but open to any public comments for matters that aren't scheduled later on. Okay, seeing we have none. Just some basic rules usually go through. We do request the actual executive committee members join by video. I believe everyone is on. Public attendance is encouraged. Microphones are muted when you come into the meeting. Members of the public, if you wish to speak, or other commissioners besides the exec committee, we encourage you to use the raise hand feature. I will recognize you and you'll be allowed to speak. If I do recognize you, we would ask for your name, what organization you're representing, and you'll have 2 minutes to speak. Our executive director is authorized to remove people from either mute them or remove from the meeting for background noise, disruptive behavior, or inappropriate comments. So with that, we are ready for the meeting summary that was included in the meeting book, and that would be from the January 2025 meeting. And we have that listed there, and our executive director has shared that. Any comments, questions, or corrections to the meeting summary? I would entertain a motion to accept this meeting summary and authorize its publishing on the website.
This is Commissioner Kaler. I will motion to accept.
Commissioner Kaler at the motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Vandalism. Sorry.
So Commissioner Denny first, Commissioner Denny with the second. And with that, is there any of the executive committee that is opposed to accepting the meeting summary for the January 25th meeting? Excuse me, January 2025 is on January 8th. Any abstentions? Okay, we will show that summary accepted, and we will move on to reports. Start with Commissioner Vandeloon with our treasurer's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This month's treasurer's report, the previous balance was $87,982.36. We had 4 debits on there, and with an ending balance of $66,286.33. And I'll entertain any questions if anybody has any.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Any questions for our secretary? Excuse me, our treasurer. Okay, we will accept that report as it stands and move on to the chairman's report, chairperson's report. I don't have a lot to report. We're into the new year. We have a lot of good things going on. Applaud our executive director, Donnie. He's actually off-site in DC right now, representing us there, as you'll hear from him. A lot of what I have to say would be crossover. I am excited. We have some movement on a couple of states, particularly Arkansas, that he'll tell us about after a bit. But we also have opportunities as well, such as with tribal nations and such that are going on kind of behind the scenes that we ultimately will update everyone on. You'll hear a little bit of updates from Donnie today. Other than that, again, a couple of new appointments to the commission, and I think we look forward to our full commission meeting, which is going to be on February 19th. So with that, one of the big agenda items we have on February 19th has to do with a rulemaking. And so it makes sense. We will recognize Commissioner Schmieder, the chairperson of the Bylaws and Rules Committee, for a update.
Good afternoon. And let me first apologize. I'll be turning to Donnie a little bit. There's been a fury of activity last week. Not a fury, but some activity back and forth on some wording, suggestions and changes and edits. And I have not fully reviewed them, only because I've been extremely busy with my real job. And the Philadelphia Eagles won on Sunday. So I'm recovering from that. But I'm just kidding on that part. But Donnie, I'll jump it over to you. I think we're still staged to move forward and bring these rules forward.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Commissioner Schmieder. We have received actually a lot of public comment on this, which means that there's a lot of public engagement. We will provide the final form of public comment. The public comment period closes this coming Friday evening, so we'll close it out then. But Chairman Kinney is showing up on the screen. We did receive some comments from one of our federal partners, and they looked at it through the lens of the federal rulemaking process, which we very much appreciate. And they provided some feedback. And in the grid that you'll see, some of the feedback is administrative, some of it meaning style, etc. Some of it they categorize as what they believe is substantive, and then perhaps a critical item. And so one of the things that I would request guidance from the executive committee on is how do we incorporate some of this? Some of it is stylistic, but I do think because some of the stylistic stuff comes from our federal partner, we may want to consider it. So Chairman Kinney, I know you have this up and you were prepared to also talk through some of these.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Donnie. And I agree with Donnie, and I both agree on the assessment that there's about 2 or 3 that definitely need addressed, and then we thank you. Council did look at that, and Christy kind of weighed in on each point, and we appreciate that analysis. And nothing I don't think is super substantive, but it definitely cleans it up. My kind of recommendation, and we can scroll down a little bit at a time so people can read, but this can be shared. My recommendation was, since we have a proposed rule, it is published, would be that we continue towards the actual full commission meeting. Commissioner Schmieder would present with Donnie's assistance for approval. And then I would ask if we want to authorize Commissioner Schmieder to work with Donnie and I on any changes to the current draft, and maybe even have a markup with some of these, because some of it's punctuation change, things like that nature. And then if we have a marked up draft that they present and make a motion to consider, then I think that'd probably be the easiest way to acknowledge if we want to accept any of these change, or at least consider them. Any thoughts to that? Commissioner Schmieder first, any thoughts from you?
So I just want to understand exactly what you just said, Craig. So we would approve the idea is to approve the draft rules as presented, and then ask permission to go back and edit them with these editorial changes, or do that ahead of time.
So I think what we would do is when we consider it, my preference would be to do a motion, hey, one has been out here. And at that time, when we consider the comments, then I think a motion from the floor to amend them before we approve them as a rulemaking would be the most appropriate.
I agree with you 100%, and I can support that.
Okay. Thank you for asking for the clarification. Other thoughts, executive committee or other commissioners that are on?
I'm just wondering I don't think we can do it. I was going to say, I wonder if we can offer an education session before the meeting so that people had a chance to just consider it. So it's just not, they don't feel like it's just railroad down their throat. But I don't know literally how we could do that because we're not going to be able to advertise it properly.
Right.
I feel
And Commissioner,
comfortable. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Commissioner Smeater, I was just going to say, we've looked at the feedback from the federal partner there. A lot of it is style, and while we are not bound to the federal rulemaking style guide, nor are we bound to any individual state style guide, because every state has a slight different style in rulemaking, as
Sure.
with the federal rulemaking has a different style. There are a few things that we might be able to consider. So with the feedback from the executive committee, I'm prepared to take and prepare a second, how do I phrase that? I'm prepared to take and make a markup of the rules that would include some of the stylistic suggestions, a few of them that may help, and have that ready should a motion from the floor be to consider some of the public comment, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I'm okay with that. And I'm just doing it for the ease of time. I've never had a good experience amending
Yeah.
rules in the middle of proving rules. It opens up so many doors, it gets very painful.
I think, Commissioner Smeater, I think once you do a deep dive of this, and
Yeah.
Christy did an excellent job of summarizing, so whatever points we accept, they are very direct. So I don't believe it's gonna, I would agree with you normally if there's a substantive change, I'd like an education session. I really believe anything we make, for instance, there's one that's just kind of an open-ended sentence that we kind of need to close out. So there are things like that. So I do think, I can't imagine that this would cause frustration to general commissioners once Donnie is prepared to explain why we are doing these and whether we recommend accepting or not.
And thank you, Sam. And I truly apologize for not being on top of this. It's been a couple crazy weeks and I just couldn't get to it. And I apologize, truly.
It is good. To be honest, it's a great thing that we have comments and we have people that actually are reading. I said, I don't get these comments during our rulemakings in Indiana. And so we just want to make sure that we paid credence to them. And some of them are not bad ideas, but some of them, a lot of them are stylistic that maybe the federal rulemaking differs from the state. So I don't think it's going to be a lot of them. Oh, yes, go ahead. We'll hear from our counsel. Christy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that there are two things that need to get fixed, and they're non-substantive typographical errors that I think should be corrected. Everything else I saw on the list was stylistic, and so there's nothing that's going to change the meaning of a sentence. It's just, like I said, typographical errors.
Thank you for clarifying.
Thank you for your work tonight, Christy.
Okay, well, I will make that ask, and that's how we will proceed then. And then kind of council knows that that's our goal for the actual rulemaking session, is to potentially amend it on the floor before making the final. And that would be in response to comments, which I believe is allowed. And because it doesn't substantively change it, then that would not derail the rulemaking or cause us to postpone it. So. Okay, anything else from the Bylaws and Rules Committee, Commissioner Speaker?
That's it. I thank you, sir.
All right, thank you. We'll turn over to Donnie for his Executive Director's report.
Thank you so much, sir. Well, first things first, as Commissioner Kinney noted, I am in DC all of this week. It's been a good week so far, despite the snow. I will just share on the screen here that stack of cards. That's my meetings yesterday and today. I've been meeting with our federal partners in DC, as well as many of the elected officials from both, representatives, Senate and House side, both, and meeting with their offices in a government to government capacity. Again, not lobbying, but just introducing, making sure that they are aware of the government office of the EMS compact. Should they have any questions related to EMS? And so have literally made it to almost every state in the compact to meet with your elected officials there, just to make sure they have our contact information and our technical resources. So that's been a really good week, as well as our other federal partners out here. I do want to scroll down and just show a few things on the screen. Get to that in a minute. So first and foremost, we have Jonathan Jones, I believe, on the call here. And so Commissioner Jones was officially appointed as the commissioner for the state of South Carolina. So we really, really do appreciate him stepping into this role. And this press release went out, and we're able to acknowledge him. Mr. Chair, I might defer to you for a minute if you want to do any official welcome of him, or turn the floor over to him.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, and I'll ask in a minute, Commissioner Jones, if you have any comments you'd like to make. We're very excited. South Carolina's been a longtime member, and it's very exciting to have your background coming in the director role and as for our purposes as a commissioner. So we welcome you. I know everyone on here is excited to have another commissioner to work with, and we look forward to your representation of South Carolina. So with that, Commissioner Jones, would you like to add anything?
Yes, thank you. Just very excited. Got a lot of great things in the works here in South Carolina, doing some restructure within our division, and just really excited for what we can bring to the table.
Great. And I know, interestingly, I'm coming up on 5 years as Indiana's director, and I'm probably a little bit newer compared to a few of the Wayne and Joe Schmieder have been long tenures. But if you ever need something, I know all the commissioners are always willing to reach out and help each other as sounding boards as well. Back to you, Donnie, for the rest of your report.
Thank you, sir. I do want to acknowledge the service of Commissioner Mitch Stewart in South Carolina. We appreciate his work. We do have a certificate that we've mailed to Mitch acknowledging his tenure as the delegate and commissioner. So just wanted to officially recognize his support and his transition to Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
And now if I scroll back up, the other item that the ECAD request is that we work on a revised EMS workforce privacy protection position paper. This position paper has been distributed to all commissioners, and we worked with the privacy protection, data privacy protection work group on this. So this is a slightly refined version. And this is labeled as version B. So at the upcoming meeting of the commission next week, we'll have a original version and a version B. My recommendation is that the full commission considers version B. This version is largely the same, except it does clarify some of the action items a little bit better. So if I scroll down, it makes the case for why we need to protect clinician data, and this is bulk data. And then this version actually clarifies the recommendations to all state EMS offices. And I just want to highlight what the recommendations are should we adopt this next week at the full commission. And number one is that the commission calls upon all state EMS offices to be vigilant against nefarious intent. And it's very important to make sure that as state officials, we are aware that there are entities out there who are fronts for foreign actors and agents for foreign actors that are making FOIA data requests to individual states. There is a mechanism in place with the Department of Justice and the FBI to have an entity.
Donnie, you froze up, I believe.
Oh, sorry about that.
There you go.
Am I back?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry, I'm on hotel.
And it froze again.
Okay. Am I back again?
Yes, you are.
Okay. I tell you what, Commissioner Kenny, give me 1 second. I'm going to. Okay. We'll try this a third time. Am I back?
Yes.
Okay, maybe that'll be more stable. So this would call upon all states to protect PII and make sure that any personally identifiable information is not released, and also to be vigilant for federal and military personnel that are also co-housed in the state database. Number 3 is calling for the standardization of public portals. What we mean by that is in your state system, the way that anyone can search for an EMS clinician, an informal analysis of state offices across the United States that I did showed that there was a very high degree of non-standardization between the data that was showed. In some states, it's a very limited amount of states of information. In other states, it included a huge amount of information, including home address and phone numbers and emails. And so this would call and kind of set a standard that state portals should provide enough information for the public to identify if someone is a legitimate EMT, paramedic, or a level between, but it should protect the PII information. So this would be a call to essentially set that standard. And on the state portal, it should show first and last legal name of record, the state of licensure, the license level, license expiration date, and license status. Anything beyond that, we don't believe is necessary for the public to validate that an individual is indeed licensed or not. So things like email address, date of birth, phone number, those things probably should not be included. And then finally, we would call for an alignment with federal standards with the Privacy Act of 1974, just to make sure that all states are handling that data uniformly. And so this is what we would propose. This was created through the work group. And Mr. Chair, I would request that we have this available for the full commission to officially consider as an alternative to the position EMS Workforce Privacy Protection position paper.
Thank you, Donnie.
I'll take a minute. Yeah.
We actually in that group met, and I know there's good discussion. I wanted to clarify for the newer commissioners, just to make clear, the reason we're doing this as a policy paper is because it is a state right area. And so some of this, your state, you may not have control of. But the idea of the position paper is, for instance, in Indiana, I am not, but let's say that we were required to give out email addresses. I might be able to use this position paper to try to see if we could get that changed and come up with a uniform standard. So even if you think this is more restrictive than your state, It is guidance, but it also is a strong statement what the standard should be. And so I'm very satisfied that they listened to what the executive committee said and have worked hard to kind of address those issues. Donnie?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's
Did you have further, or I was going to ask if there's any questions?
nothing on, I have nothing further on this. I have more report though.
Okay. Any questions on this? Do you recall, Donnie, do we need a motion to take it back coming from us, or is it on the agenda already?
It's on the agenda. I think for the actual meeting, we would entertain a motion to consider version B.
So I would add, there are two ways. I could see a motion to consider version B. I could also see a motion to consider, and the exec committee supports version B. I think are some options, or no motion at all, but my preference would be the second one, that we believe version B should be considered as well, and that would be our preferred version. So open to questions or motions, either one from the exec committee. We don't have any motions, no questions. I will open up to questions from the general commissioners and the general public as well. If you do have a question relating to this, or even a comment, then please use the raise hand feature. I will recognize you then, and you may speak. Not seeing any comments. We can table this. I will ask one more time from the exec committee, is there a motion to also publish version B and potentially recommend acceptance of it to the full commission?
So I can't make a motion, but I would encourage someone to do it because it seems like it's the appropriate thing to do.
So moved, Commissioner Vanderloon.
Thank you, Commissioner Vanderloon with the motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Denny. We have a motion and a second from the executive committee. Is there anyone that objects to taking version B to the full commission with our recommendation? And are there any abstentions from the executive committee? Okay, Donnie, you have that, and you may continue with your report.
Thank you. We do have a piece of legislation that has been introduced in the state of Arkansas, and it is a House bill down there. Arkansas, as we know, is surrounded on all sides by EMS compact member states. Arkansas is currently part of a number of compacts, and they have 4 compacts that are pending this legislative session. And the EMS compact is one of the 4. So we're happy about that. The Arkansas EMS Association asked our office for some technical assistance related to understanding the compact. So we did a education and learning session last week that was well attended from many organizations across the great state of Arkansas, answered a lot of questions there. So we're happy to have been able to do that. We're monitoring that legislation. Certainly our office would encourage a strong pass of that in the state of Arkansas and welcome them on board. Our preliminary analysis shows that Arkansas is well suited and ready to become a member state of the EMS compact with very little changes that would be required in their office. We will continue to monitor. I have offered to be on standby if they would like to request me to testify or provide technical assistance. Again, I've made it clear I'm not able to lobby, but we can offer technical assistance and answer questions as a governmental body. So that is in Arkansas.
I
been
Real quick, I would just add and thank Donnie. He did an excellent job with them, doing a great job with communication. Also want to thank council. I believe Christie was on that call. I was on there.
Yeah.
Commissioner Bailey was on there as well. So I felt like we represented the commission well. If they're unable to pursue it, they're unable to pursue it. But I believe Donnie is going to empower them to have the full facts going into it.
Yeah.
Thank you, Donnie.
Thank you, sir. Been working with AAA, and so AAA's asked us to do a nationwide learning session about the EMS Compact for their membership, and that will be in March, towards the end of March. Once I get the invite, I will make sure I share that. But we'll be doing a national webinar to help AAA members understand the power and utility of the EMS Compact. And with that, there's a number of things that's still going on. Got a number of travel options beginning to line up. So looking forward to that. As always, reach out if you have any questions. And while not directly compact business, just for your awareness, I am back in full swing now with my doctoral studies. And it appears that the dissertation will probably be focused on the role of interstate compacts at the intersection of national security, public protection, and emergency medical services. So I'll keep people updated on that as it continues to develop.
Thank you, Donnie. I will say good luck on that, but I don't know that you need luck. You're very knowledgeable. You will knock that out of the ballpark. Any questions for our executive director on his report? Okay, the last report we will go over to Ray Mullers from National Registry for the coordinated database update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good afternoon, everyone. A couple of things to point out. Since I created this report, we've been working very closely with Delaware, the fire side, the Fire Commission, the BLS EMT licensure. Any day, they just got credentials to put their data into the actual production database today, so we could start seeing their licensure at any time. So that's exciting. Working closely with Tennessee again, we made some progress. They had a big hurdle that their vendor couldn't overcome. We assisted with that, and they should be back up and testing probably the last week of the month or the first week of March. And we just set up today a coordination meeting for the state of Indiana. Their vendor has reached out to get the ball rolling there. So those three states we've been working closely with just as of today, all of them. On another note, we've had some IT help to get some fixes put in place to both NEMSGID and the website. Just small stuff, but definitely stuff that was pending. An example would be we've changed it so that each license that would be listed on a public lookup would have the name associated with that license. Before, it was the name associated with the EMS ID, and then the licenses had no name associated. So if somebody had a name change somewhere in that licensure history, it would not show up. Whether it's a married situation or name change, whatever it is, or it's, you moved around like our executive director and use different names in different states, that would show up now.
All legally.
All legally, yeah, right. And so we cleared up some hierarchy issues. We're getting some privilege to practice no when it should have been yes. So that was cleaned up. And then just some banner changes on how we display the privilege to practice no, stating it as not qualified. Small stuff, but it is progress and we are thankful for it. And barring any questions, that's all I have for today.
So Ray, you're not getting off that easy. Mr. Chairman, I have a statement or a question. What's happening with Pennsylvania and Delaware? It's, the strength of the compact is the database, and it looked like no movement or no conversation since April in Pennsylvania and May in Delaware, ALS.
Yeah, with Indiana's movement forward, I honestly, I don't know. And really, it's probably more going to fall back on Donnie's shoulders. I am doing my best to coordinate, and but I can't force anybody to make any movements.
Yeah, I would
Commissioner
just add to
Snyder?
that. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I got to run. They canceled and they just reappointed this meeting. It was supposed to be at 2:30. Thank you. Sorry.
Even though I can't answer his question, but for everyone else, I do know in Pennsylvania, and Donnie can correct me if I'm wrong, part of theirs, and they use the same, they were looking at the same vendor we were using, which gave us a tool, thanks to Donnie's assistance, to prodicate us. And so I've kind of made it, even though it wasn't in our contract, I've kind of made it a mandatory. So we're hoping to get that through. But I think Pennsylvania was still deciding who they were going to use. So I think that's part of the hiccup. It's kind of hard to force them to transmit data when they're getting ready to switch data systems. Is that correct, Donnie?
Yeah, so Pennsylvania currently does not have a vendor that can be compliant. Oklahoma does not have a vendor that can be compliant, and they're going through the RFP process as well. And I don't have a good answer about Delaware ALS.
They are very difficult to reach.
Yes.
We will see what we can figure out. Then we'll try to
Yeah.
help on the Delaware situation.
And Nebraska,
Any other?
I believe, I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, Nebraska, I believe, is projecting 2026 of possibly getting a vendor in place. So not all good news, but it is somewhat forward progress.
Well, I'd say other than Delaware, and I think we've had some communication that's not a lot of regular, we at least people are updating and they are attempting to work. It's just the usual pace of government, if you have to do a new RFP, things like that. So I think that's a positive. Any other questions for Ray on his report or comments? Okay, thank you, Ray. We appreciate that.
Thank you.
Next, we are up to new business. I'll recognize Donnie on the ACEP EMS Week collaboration.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chair. So the American College of Emergency Physicians, in their tradition since 1974, has been coordinating the National EMS Week celebration and recognition that typically involves a presidential declaration and declarations from individual governors as well. As a commission, we typically have passed a resolution. I would probably encourage us to do something similar this year as well. Mr. Chair, I'm even happy to prepare a draft resolution that could be considered from the floor at our full commission meeting next week, if that would be something that people want to consider. But the main reason for this agenda item is that we have an opportunity to do a collaboration with ACEP, and it's a letter of agreement. We've been talking with ASAP, and while they frequently partner with associations and nonprofits and other organizations, we are in a position to be able to be a strategic government partner with them. And this is the letter of agreement. What it looked like, there is zero financial cost here that would be exchanged. We would be recognized as a strategic partner. We would put forth a press release and content on our website, which I'm happy to do, that we've been doing anyway every year to promote EMS Week. We believe it's important for the profession. So that aligns with what we're doing. We would add and ensure that the EMS Week logo is visible. Again, we've been doing that for many years already. We would send out an email or a newsletter to our stakeholder list, and that is the list that has signed up for our public announcements. Again, we've done a press release every year, so we would do what we've done in the past. And then during EMS Week, we would also send out something. Again, we've pretty much done this every year already. And then a couple of social media posts. Again, we've been doing this already. So this would just kind of align that. Again, there's no financial exchange or anything with that. And Mr. Chair, I would request permission from the executive committee to execute this letter of agreement as partners with ASAP to recognize EMS Week.
Okay, I will open it for the exec committee. Any questions, comments, or a motion to authorize Donnie to enter into the agreement and or to prepare a proposed resolution for the full commission meeting?
No questions, but I would be glad to make that motion.
Commissioner Denny, thank you.
I will second.
Thank you, Commissioner Kaler with the second. So we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion, concerns, comments from the executive committee or any commissioners on the call? Okay, any objections to the motion? Any abstentions to the motion? Okay, Donnie, you may proceed with that. Thank you for bringing it to our attention. I think it's a great collaboration. Look forward to continuing to do that. Next up, we have partner organization updates. I see potentially a couple as I look through the list. If you are with a partner organization, you have a quick update you would like to give, please use the raise hand feature and I will recognize you so that you can do that. In the meantime, to give you time to do that, Donnie, do you mind going over? I guess I can. February 19th, 2025 will be our rulemaking meeting. It's at the bottom of the agenda there. So we definitely need commissioners here. Really, that is one of the key things that we do. It's a full commission meeting, but a rulemaking. It's one of the key things we do. So the presumption is that every commissioner will be there. I counted 7 commissioners on besides the exec committee today. Thank you. I love that we have that kind of engagement and participation. And we hope to have full attendance at the full commission meeting as well. Because as you heard, we're going to talk about data privacy. We have the rulemaking. We may have this resolution. And it's a good time for catching up and getting the full reports and answering any concerns or questions that the commissioners and the public have. Not seeing any hands raised, I will go to Donnie before I adjourn to see if he has anything else for the group.
Thank you so much, sir. I would just also draw everyone's attention to the May 13th meeting in Grand Rapids, Michigan. I did send out to all the commissioners an invitation letter. I did get some questions on that, so I just clarify. Your attendance at that meeting is expected to be mandatory. Again, the governors have appointed one commissioner. That commissioner has the only vote. It cannot be delegated, and it cannot be made by proxy. And so the letter is the official letter of invite as you apply for travel. If you have any needs, reach out to my office. I'm happy to help. And look forward. There is still government rate rooms available in the hotel block. And I would encourage you to make those reservations as soon as possible. Other than that, sir, I have nothing else for my reports.
The only other thing I would add on that, I am the at-large member of the exec committee of NASIMSO. I don't see Joe on. Donnie is correct on our website. You can find the hotel information if you need it. If you on NASIMSO's website, not the EMS Compact. And if you are having problems finding that, let me know and I can connect you. But there's small number of government rooms. There's a regular rate besides the federal government rooms. We also have heard, and it kind of shows, and it is frankly my region that I'm chairperson of, the Great Lakes, that maybe we didn't think through. The Grand Rapids Airport is a little smaller. And so we are hearing that flying in is a little bit of a challenge. And so if you are intending to be there, I encourage you to start looking at your travel arrangements to figure out, when you can be there for a good time of arrival, because I'm hearing some airlines have only like one morning and one afternoon flight. And so just keep that in mind as you're planning. Otherwise, it sounds like they are planning a very good conference. We're always happy that they welcome us and we'll be able to do our in-person, our 3-hour meeting. We'll probably start talking a little more in earnest. Maybe that'll be something for us to look at, Donnie, for our March executive committee, is start talking about what are we going to do for, are we going to do a public session, for instance, because sometimes we end up doing a business meeting and then we have like an information session. And so if you have ideas, please let us know. I'll recognize our council. Christy, go ahead.
Yep. Question on the meeting date for May 13th, because this agenda says May 13th, 2025, and the travel authorization letter that Donnie sent around back in January said May 14th. I just want to clarify what date we're talking about.
1 second. Good catch. Let me bring that up. Give me 1 second.
And it's bumped a day back might be part of the confusion. So we are currently, I brought up their schedule. It is
Okay,
showing
thank you.
it as on the Wednesday. Whichever day Wednesday is.
May 14th. Yep. Sorry. Yep. And you're right. It changed from when we had initially reserved those dates. So the travel authorization is correct.
Great.
And that was partly because we ran into, and NASIMSO's trying to get away from it, but we keep having it right around Mother's Day. And we had a request not to travel on Sunday. And so that normally Sunday's that pre-conference, and we bumped everything to Monday. Because the commissioners are also state officials, that pre-conference workshop for state officials is going to be canceled for this year. I have not seen it come out yet. The challenge was because people would have had to fly in, most of them, on Sunday night, which we did not want those concerns. So they're going to do a virtual training, but there will be if you're able to be there on Monday night, there is going to be a reception that evening for the people that are there. So, but our meeting then usually would be the second full day of the conference. And so the first full day of the conference is Tuesday, and then the second full day is actually the Wednesday. So that's how you ended up there. Any other questions, comments? Okay. Well, thank you, everyone. We will see everyone at our full commission meeting coming up on February 19th. Appreciate everyone being on here. As always, if you need anything, reach out to Donnie or I. We'll be glad to assist. Have a nice day.